Guys, what is going on? Blossom's back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. And of course, the next special legendary tag is Nightmare Fuel, which is an homage to, the Halloween season, but it doesn't make any sense that this came out in November, like 2 weeks after Halloween, but I digress. I think it's a pretty cool tag nonetheless, and I love the celebration of Halloween. Now, for this season's, Halloween, the prizes are as follows. We have the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport AT35 Arctic trucks, that's a long one, the Hyundai i30 Time Attack, the BMW F6 XX, X6 Vermilion, and very strangely enough, the TVR Sibera Speed 12. Now, I'm a little bit sad that, we went from such a big legendary challenge prize car in the Hyundai i20 to a rerun. Now, to some of you, this is going to be a really good car, and I can attest for that. I own this car. It's really damn good. The MRA is fantastic, and the top speed is bloody freaking high, which is, very, very good if you don't have the prize car. So, I'll tell you right now, if you don't own the TVR Sibera, this is actually a car that's worth going for. I use it a lot. In fact, I still use it in British dailies because there aren't a lot of British cars out there that has the MRA it provides and has the top speed that it has. But it's a bittersweet kind of situation for me because for owners of this car, we're just getting the legendary pack. So chances are we could get an RQ80 from completing this entire challenge, which is only one RQ more than the Epic. So it gives less incentive for TVR Sibera owners to actually bother and try and go all the way in this challenge. I don't know, you tell me, man, but I know my luck. I'll probably get like a RQ80, some piece of crap. But anyway, if you don't have the TVR, it's a pretty good price to get. But that being said, we are going to be reviewing the pack because obviously you need to open the pack in order to get the cars to compete in the challenge. So is it worth opening the pack? Well, as always, guys, we're gonna start from hot garbage all the way down to, or all the way up to basically Dirk Kaiser or slash Blossom choice. Now, I'm doing the more in-depth review for this kind of pack review. Usually the big packs, I will just do the tier list. The smaller packs, I will do this more in-depth guide. Now, in terms of ultra rares and above, there are about like 44 cars that you can unpack, and we're going to start off with hot garbage. The good news is this: if you want to get an ultra rare, there's only one ultra rare I really think is a complete waste of your time. The epics, well, obviously the ACs and the alphas are terrible, and in terms of the legendaries, the Murcielagos are incredibly shit. The thing is though, Hutch was kind of nice to us this time. There are a lot of Murcielagos in the game, but instead of dumping every single Murcielago, they only added 2. So take that as a blessing. It could have been a lot worse. They could have added all the Murcielagos, but they only added 2. Now, that being said, the Di Tommaso is, I think, the real true bust. Although the epics and the legendaries are terrible, at least if you get a legendary, you can sell it. Yes, I am saying sell a Murcielago. They are that terrible. Or if you have a Murcielago already, you can use your second one to fuse away into another legendary. Same thing with the epics. If you get the ACs or the alpha, they're just easy to fuse away. So why are they so terrible in my opinion? Well, the first thing first, we're going to talk about the AC Cobra. And as you can see, for both ACs, epics, by the way, that takes 15 ultras to fully upgrade, they cannot beat the ultra rares. They are literally losing to the BMW M5 and the Holden of Fiji on everything. The ACs don't win jack, dude. It's actually so damn sad. And like I said, those are fully upgraded 332 AC Cobras, and they're not even able to beat ultra rares. Truly terrible, if you ask me. Things like the BMW M5, I mean, yes, it handles less, but like it has traction control and ABS, where else the ACs, I'm pretty sure, do not. So at the end of the day, hot garbage. Definitely a cars that you do not want to fully upgrade. I can see them going down literally to to ultra rares in a future update if there are any rarity changes. Next up is the Di Tommaso Pantera. I think a lot of people can argue that the Bufori Geneva, which is another medium ground clearance RQ52 that you can get from this pack, is pretty terrible. The issue is though, the Di Tommaso is actually worse. And one thing that kind of surprised me from this is that the Bufori Geneva is actually pretty damn good at City Street Small, beating out cars like the Bentley Mulsanne, the Ford Mustang, which is a pretty notable car to beat, and an even more notable car to beat, the Renault Clio as well. So with that taken into account, the Bufori isn't as bad as the Pantera in my opinion, and the Pantera actually loses to the Bentley Mulsanne as well, the Mulsanne being the best car here. But then again, I am comparing it in City Street Smalls and drag only. You put in the twisty stuff, and the Renault Clio is going to be your best option. But you would think that the Pantera would provide a little bit more value of 71 MRA, but it just doesn't. It's a piece of crap. Now, moving on now to more hot garbage stuff, it's the Murcielagos. Now, I'm doing a very accurate Murcielago representation. So basically, most Murcielagos are not going to be maxed out 233, but most of the epics that you come against are going to be maxed out. So a 111 Murcielago against maxed out epics is just the worst of the bunch, whether it's up against a 79 or a 75. Mind you, this is an 82 RQ car. You would think, and I'm not even comparing it against rear-wheel drive cars, dude. I'm only comparing it against four-wheel drive performance tire epics. You would think that a 111 Murcielago Roadster that has 7 RQ more than an Audi Quattro would be able to beat the Audi Quattro somewhere. But even in its weakest situations of twisty circuit where the Audi is really bad in, it still beats a Murcielago Roadster. Now, a fully upgraded Murcielago Roadster kind of begs a different answer. It does win here and there, but it still loses to the slalom compared to the Porsche. It loses to indoor karting. Well, to be fair, there's no time for it. And it also loses to the Porsche on the G-Force. It also loses to the Taycan on the fast circuit and the fast circuit rolling. And we're talking about a Max Legendary against a Max Epic, which is very depressing. Next up in the comparison chart would be the 86 Murcielago LP640 Roadster. Again, at 111, it provides no value whatsoever. And when it's fully upgraded, yes, it is able to beat most of the epics, trading blows with a RQ79. Like, that's literally like what, 9 RQ difference, and it's like trading blows with the Volvo C30. And when you put it up against its RQ86 compatriot, its direct competition in the Nissan GTR, it beats it everywhere. Like, literally, it's a clean sweep. The Lamborghinis are hot garbage. If you get them, I give you my condolences, man. All right, moving on to the next tier now are Pernicious also. These are the cars where I don't think will provide a lot of value, but they might have their time to shine here and there. There are some redeeming factors about them. So this ranges from the Audi R8 all the way to the Bufori Geneva. Now, the Geneva I want to just talk about really quickly and really briefly. As you can see, it was a one-trick pony on the City Street Small, and it's pretty decent within its competition of RQ52 and below. That's not saying much though, right? And it's not like I compared it against every single RQ52. Only in that comparison was it the best. It doesn't mean it's the best RQ52 and below. Same thing with the Audis and the Boxsters. They're not going to bring you a lot of value, but they're not the worst in the world, but they're still bad, right? So we're going to begin with the first comparison here, which is going to be the Porsche 911 Turbo. It's good in the Canyon Tour and it's good in the half mile and the 1 mile because it has the MRA. That being said though, it's still one of the worst twisty options, even losing to cars lower in RQ like the Porsche 911 53 as well as the Porsche 904 Carrera GTS. Also loses to the quarter mile, surprisingly enough, to the Roof Turbo 3.3, which is 2 RQ below. Another car that I do want to compare is the Maserati, I believe, which I did forget to put in this photo comparison over here, but it is indeed the Maserati Spider Grand Sport. As you can see, it's kind of just average as an RQ54. Like, it's still going to be worse than your 52 Mito GTA, and it's going to be worse than cars that are higher in RQ. It's just very meh. It's not really the best option for you to use. That's why it's going to be Pernicious Ulcer. Do forgive me though, I did forget to put it in the screenshot over here. Another car that I want to showcase for Pernicious Ulcer is going to be the Porsche Boxster Spider and the Spiker C8 Prelator. So the first one is the Porsche Boxster Spider. Again, as a 68 RQ car, it isn't the best, you know, like, again, it loses to everything within its RQ. It isn't the best at anything. And again, I think the worst thing about the Boxster Spider is of its RQ nerf. I think not RQ nerf, but MRA nerf. Back in the day, the Boxster Spider used to have 95 MRA, but now it has gone down to 82, RQ. So back then it was a one-trick pony for the drags. Now it can't even hold that candle anymore because it's always going to be losing to the Porsche 911 Speedster, which has 93 MRA. Just basically all the World Expo and above Porsches are just significantly better, and it's kind of sad. So basically all your OG Porsches, their MRAs are 82, 73, 82, 73, and the new ones obviously are 93 and 95, right? And then even though this one is 74, the Cayman is the best twisty option, right? So it's a little bit sad. The Boxer Spider is one of the weaker 68s. If it went down to a 67, I wouldn't even bat an eye. It even loses to the 68 Cayman GTS on indoor karting circuit, twisty road, and the hairpin road, which is quite embarrassing, to be honest. Moving on to the Spiker C8 Preliator. I mean, when you max it out, it brings about 95 handling, and 95 handling is just not enough when you're 77 RQ Epic competing against the best of the best. Again, within its own RQ, it's one of the worst cars there, losing to the Giulia, losing to the DB11, losing to the AMG GTS, losing to the Corvette Z06. It has some of the darkest reds, and in terms of the drags, it doesn't provide much value either, losing to the Challenger SRT Hellcat as well as the AMG GTS. So your C8 Preliator is in an oversaturated competition base, right? Meaning it's, a dime a dozen in terms of rear-wheel drive performance tire epics, and it doesn't bring any value besides the fact that it's Dutch. But how often do you see a Dutch event? How often do you see a rest of the world event for anything like that? Now, moving on to frequent provider. Now, these are cars that are mid. They're not terrible, they're not good. They will provide you value from time to time, and they have redeeming qualities. And those cars basically span from the Rezvani Beast all the way to the AC Cobra. In between, you get the Vipers, which are very attuned to their RQ. Like, I think the SRT10 is very much a 72. I think the GTSR is very much a 74. And then you have some of your better ultra rares like the Ford FPV and the Porsche Boxer, filling up some smaller niches like convertibles and low ground clearance saloons. So let's get into some times real quick. The first one's going to be the Viper GTSR, and as you can see, it's a pretty good dragster, being the best car for the half mile, best car for the 0 to 170, and best car for the test bowl, only losing to the AMG GT. So you take the AMG GT out of the equation, and the Dodge GTSR concept will be your best option, beating cars like the GT3 RS, the Grand Sport, and the Porsche 911 Carrera as well. Now, one thing I do want to state is that one car that I did not put in the comparison for these cars is the Pagani C12. You put in the Pagani C12 and it's going to blow everything out of the water. So I took that away because it was incredibly OP, for its range, but I will mention it in the video. Moving on, we have the Ford FPV GT Cobra R-Spec, and as you can see, it's a pretty formidable dragster when it comes to low ground clearance saloons, putting it up against cars like the Holden Callias, the Mulsannes, the Skylines, even the Ford FPV, and the Ford Geneva, which are higher in RQ. That being said, the Cobra R-Spec is still the best car for the half mile, the 0 to 100, and the 0 to 120, even beating out cars like the BMW 550i, which is 57 in RQ. But I do believe that the BMW 550i is medium ground clearance compared to everything else that you see, which is low. Actually, it's a mixture of low and medium, because the Geneva, the Mulsannes, they're all medium as well, but things like the Giulia Veloce, things like the Ford FPV are all low ground clearance. So it does provide some value, and honestly, I do believe that the Ford FPV is a car that you might want to consider drag specking. Now, moving on to the second highest tier. Now we're talking about cars that are actually good. We're ranging from the McLarens to the best of the Dodge Epics, or among the best of the Dodge Epics, the Rezvani base Alpha, which is, in my opinion, has always been a decent 79, but never the best. And that's basically what Daily Driver is. Cars that are good, but they aren't invincible, right? So let's begin with the McLarens, for example. Now, the McLaren 720S Spider is a very respectable car. As you can see, it beats a lot of the cars I'm comparing it to. It beats the F1 LM. It beats the other McLarens like the 600 LT Coupe and Spider. It beats the W Motors, Lincoln Hypersport, Lycan Hypersport, whatever it is, and also beats our prize car, the TVR Sabera Speed 12, on the twisty stuff. The problem with the 720S Spider is that once you open the times, as you can see, these two cars are blank. Once you put in the times for RQ91 GT2 RS and the RQ91 McLaren 720S Coupe, things kind of fall apart. So the Spider isn't the best, right? It isn't Dirk Kaiser, and unlike the 720 or the 911 GT2, still brings good value, but it isn't the best of the best. It's the same thing with the McLaren 600 LT Spider. It doesn't compete with cars above its RQ. As an 89, it could kind of tread water, beating cars like the Peugeot Onyx and the TVR Sibera and the Lykan Hypersport. Now, some people might say that it's not even fair to compare the 600 LT to like the Onyx or the Sibera, because the Onyx and Sibera is 100 plus RQ. The 600 LT is only 96, but I digress. It still holds its own as an 89, but anything above 89 and it kind of just breaks apart. It doesn't stand out in its RQ, right? So I think that these McLarens are good, but there are better options to use, right? Now, moving on to another comparison would be the Spiker C8 Spider. It's the same thing, same situation. It's good. It beats cars like a Dragspag Maxi, a Jaguar XKR, an AMG S65, Tuscan convertible, and the Charger 3. But again, there are three cars which I've left blank: the M5, the Effigy, and the Group B. The moment you bring in the times for the M5, the Effigy, and the Group B, no one's gonna think about the C8 Spider anymore. You know what I mean? So it's a great car, but not the best option. We're gonna continue with this with the Rezvani and the wide body. The Rezvani and the wide body are both very accurate to their RQ in terms of drags. The Challenger is the second best and its lower RQ to the best, which is the Rezvani in the comparison. But like I said, I'm holding it back. So all these cars at the bottom with no time shown are better than the Rezvani, are better than the wide body, and that includes your Challenger Hellcat wide body. It includes, the Red Eye, and includes your Super Stock, it includes your Hellcat Red Eye Charger, it includes your Arash GTS, right? So all those cars are going to be beating the Rezvani. That's not to say that the Rezvani is bad, because the Rezvani is beating some heavy hitters like the Celine S1, the Alfa Stradale, the Huracan, as well as the Hyundai Envision. All cars with really good MRI. Look at these numbers, right? 103 to 93 to 93 to 96 to 97 to 84, right? But then again, the AC Cobra has a ridiculously low 0 to 60, so that's why it's still in this equation. So because of that, ain't the best. Now, moving on to Dirk Kaiser, the best of the best, in my opinion, are going to be cars like the Charger Hellcat Red Eye wide body, the Challenger Hellcat Red Eye wide body, the Hennessy Venom GT, which is, in my opinion, the only legendary in this pack that deserves their Kaiser status, the D. Tommaso Guara, and the Alpha 4C Spider. So first things first, we're going to continue where we left off with the drags. Again, now, as you can see, the Challenger and the Chargers are better than the Arash. They're better than the Beast, which you can also get from the pack, better than the Challenger SRT Hellcat Ride Body, the non-Red Eye version, right, etc, etc. And all those cars are the best. The only car that's slightly better would be the Challenger SRT Super Stock, which you can't even get from the pack anyway. So that's Dirk Kaiser, in my opinion, ridiculously amazing car. Now, moving on to the Italian cars which I've added in Dirk Kaiser include the Alpha 4C Spider as well as the D. Tommaso Guara. As you can see, when it comes to low ground clearance or just performance tire Italian ultra rares, the Alfa Romeo 4C Spider is the cream of the crop. Wins everywhere in the twisties, and the Countach wins everywhere in the fast. Same thing with the D. Tommaso Guara, but in a different niche. I'm comparing it against ultra rares, but ultra rares from the 90s, and as you can see, it's mainly the best option there, beating out cars like the Corvette ZR1 and its main competitor, I would say, the Skyline GTR LM, because it actually handles more than the Guara. But the Guara is the better car because of the lower 0 to 60 and the fact that it is incredibly light. So those cars are ridiculously strong. So Nightmare Fuel, what do I think about it? I think it's recommended for American collectors like myself. So I'm going to be opening a couple of these most likely, and players in needs of dragsters. Nightmare Fuel brings a lot of fantastic drag options to the game. Also, if you need a low ground clearance performance tire influx, this is a great pack to open as well. Let's say that you find yourself in a situation, this is rare by the way, I don't think a lot of us will find ourselves in this situation, but if you find yourself in a situation where you have only standard tires and all surface tires, and you need more performance tire, low ground clearance, just outright cars that handle well or have good MRA, this is a good pack to open. Things to consider though before you open it is that Black Friday is around the corner, and the Venom F5 Finals is around the corner as well, which is an incredible prize car. So those are things to think about before you open your Nightmare Fuel pack, but it definitely is one of the better tags with some better cars. Maybe I'm slightly biased because I love Dodge, But we can't argue that those Dodgers are some of the best dragsters in the game, and it's nice to see them retake the crown of being some of the best dragsters in the game now, because after the American Dream update, they kind of gave that crown away to other competitors like the Spiker, as well as the Arash, for example. So it's nice to see those red eyes come back. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. Let me know down in the comments below if you're going to go for the Nightmare Fuel pack or not. I am genuinely tempted to go for a couple. I'm definitely going to go for one, but I don't know if I'll go for more. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly, got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly, got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville.